Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum. Peace be unto you, and welcome to 2 Samuel chapter 8. There are 18 verses in this chapter. Beginning in verse 1, it says here, David put the Philistines to flight, so they fled. They were alive. Versus the Philistines were subdued, so he conquered them, made them bend the knee, humiliate, vanquish. But the word subdued seems to imply that they were taken captive or serving him. And then it says here, David took the tribute from out of the hand of the Philistines versus Methegama, which is a translation. Verse 2, tribute. So they were giving tribute to David versus gifts. The footnote says for this line, no pun intended, laid them down on the ground. Footnote says in the Greek it means caused them to sleep. However, it does say explicitly there were 2 lines for killing and 2 lines he kept alive. Okay, and verse 3, significant difference, talking about how either David or Rahab, or I should say Hadad-ezer, went to extend his power to the river Euphrates versus recover his border. Just one moment. So we're continuing on regarding the verse 3. Verse 4 now. There's a discrepancy in the numbers. 7,000 horsemen versus 700 horsemen. Now, if you have 1,000 chariots, would you have 7,000 horsemen? Because the footnote in the Alexandrian text, it says 7 horsemen rather than 7,000 or 100. It's hard to reconcile these numbers, but again, 1,000 chariots, how many horsemen would you have? You could have 7,000 if you have many horsemen attached to the chariots, so 7 per chariot. But if you have 1,000 chariots and 700 horsemen, then that means 300 are missing. I'm not sure how that works, unless there were 2 to a chariot in some cases. Anyway, comment down below what you think regarding that discrepancy. And then it says here in verse 7, talking about the golden bracelets versus golden shields. So how can the servants of Hadad-ezer be wearing shields? They all have shields of gold. Do you know how expensive that is? How heavy that is? It makes more sense for them to be bracelets instead of shields made of solid gold or even gold plated. And then there's an important omission that was again omitted from the Masoretic, saying that and Shishak, king of Egypt, took them, which is the golden bracelets, when he went up to Jerusalem in the days of Rehoboam, son of Solomon. So that's skipping ahead in time. Verse 8, another omission talking about the brass that was acquired by David. It says, Solomon made the brazen sea and the pillars and the lavers and all the furniture from this brass that was acquired. Important detail there. Verse 10, this is a continuous difference, talking about when someone asks welfare versus saluting them, saluting an individual. And then it says to congratulate him versus bless him. Excuse me. Verse 11, cities which he conquered versus nations which he subdued. And then big difference in verse 12. It says here, These are the cities he conquered out of Edom versus Syria, which is Aram. So two very different places. Edom is today is known as Jordan, which is located southeast of Israel. Hey. Pardon me, I have to just intervene for a moment. Okay, again, talking about Edom / Jordan, which is located southeasterly of Israel, where Syria is located in the east of Israel. Verse 13, Gebelim versus Valley of Salt. Okay, and then verse 18, talking about Benaiah, who was the counselor, versus Benaiah was over both the Cherethites and the Pelethites. Now I'm going to give this to the Masoretic text because understanding he was the counselor, but there has to be an insertion of was over. This is actually wisdom here. So it should be Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was counselor, was over the Chelethites and the Pelethites. And then it says the sons of David were princes of the court, which makes sense. In my opinion, it completes the understanding the Masoretic does here of how he was not only the counselor over these people, but also foreigners, the Chelethites and Pelethites, would not be ruling alongside David's sons. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you very much for your time. Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum. Peace be unto you, and Maranatha.